Welcome back to the Press Club. We don't just talk, we analyze, we evaluate, and we provide our critique on the news happenings for the past week. So welcome back. I'm joined by Jason Sifley, the editor of Gen Moon magazine, and congratulations are in order for you too, Jason. You recently got married.
I recently got married.
I'm very happy to hear that. So congratulations to you, and I'm sure your beautiful wife.
My very beautiful, crazy wife.
or crazy beautiful.
It's the same thing, depending on what day of the week.
Well, man, all the best with that. I know, sometimes it can be difficult, but it's a wonderful.
You are married too.
Oh yes.
I'm going to be emailing you on how to get through some of the more difficult situations.
Yeah, I'll help you.
And I'll make sure whatever advice you give me, I will not take it.
I have experience, 2 years of experience, so I'll give you in 3-month blocks.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
All right, let's get to the news. Your top story, of course, we were laughing about it earlier on. The Media Association of St. Lucia has been established, and we're going forward with that.
Well, one of the things I was happy about was that what we had before, I think, was more like a journalist association, wasn't it? We did in St. Lucia, we did have a media workers.
We did have, it was the St. Lucia Media Workers Association, so
right.
Journalists and everybody else involved in media.
But it ended very badly the last time, and there have been some tragic attempts at rebuilding. This time it looks like we have a Media Workers Association that is on a more solid footing. There was a lot more participation this time, I think. However, I still, as a media worker, as a journalist, a career journalist, I've never really worked in anything else but the media. I want to see where this is headed before I start committing to it, because in my opinion, the media is sort of like a clergy, isn't it? It's a very special breed of people, especially not the ones who are coming and going, but the people who stay in journalism are a special breed. They're very much like a priesthood. We're the priesthood of truth in society.
I like how you put that.
Right. We are committed to the facts when other great professions such as the law or politics are not actually committed to the facts. They're committed to winning or to power. We are probably the only profession in society where the truth matters more than anything else. That's what we're selling 100% of the time, give or take a few commercial pressures here and there. So that I think the Media Workers Association is very important to the development of the media in society. We could actually see in the years when there was not a Media Workers Association, I think, in my opinion, we could see the media going astray at times. There being agendas at work within the media that were just out of control. The political agendas, commercial agendas, just totally out of control. And to have now a Media Workers Association that will be responsible to be able to say, well, here are the boundaries, that certain people are crossing the boundaries, that they are free to say to do and say what they like according to the Constitution of St. Lucia, but this is not good journalism, or this is way out of the bounds of what we consider professional behavior. I think it is important to the society in general. However, I want this organization to work, and I really would like to see what the agenda of the Media Workers Association is, and maybe now that you're here on the Press Club, I can put you in the hot seat and ask you, what really is the agenda here? What are the top priorities? What are the top 5 things where we're after?
No, well, the top thing, I don't even have to go to 5 because, these things will take a little while. The top thing for us is training and professional development. That is a top thing. We're not cutting it any other way. That is what we're focused on in the immediate future, because we realize that, as you said, a lot of people come into the profession and they have not an ounce of training, not the slightest amount of training. They're brought in there and they tell you when they've been there 5, 10 years, oh, I was thrown into the fire. I think a lot of us have been through that. Me a little different, because when I went into RSL in 1995. We got some training. You know, they actually organized training with Margaret Robert Steele. Von Noel did some training. Mr. Winston Hinkson did some training with us, you know, before we were actually put on air or before we were able to start practicing, you know, journalism reporting, you know, because you need a little more than that to become a journalist. But right now we see people just coming in, applying for a job, and then next day they're on the air. And so that is our focus. The ACM, the Association of Caribbean Media Workers, has committed to assisting us in that regard. So in March, early March, we should have a trainer coming from Canada. His name is Nick Fillmore. So sometime in March, let me not say early because we're already towards the end of February, but we're looking at April. But in our correspondence, he said that he'd rather March training. So what we will be doing is going to every media house and identifying at least one person who we can train, you know, so that that person can go back and practice.
The media is a lot larger now. There are a lot more media houses now than there were when we last had a media association.
Very much so. It's free training. He's doing it for free. All we have to do is put him up. We just had to put him up, pay for his accommodation and stuff.
So there are not huge cost implications there?
Not at this point. And also, I've been in touch with the U.S. Embassy in Barbados, and they're planning a training for later this year. And we're going to take
advantage of that.
Very much so. So that is the focus. The other thing too is to convince skeptics like yourself to be part of this.
I'm not a skeptic, I'm a cynic. there's a big difference.
You're both skeptical and cynical. Yeah, because you've given your experience, and you know, I mean, it's understood. It's understandable why some people would not want to be part of it, or say, well, you know what, let me wait and see, or nah, I'm sure they'll fail again. You know, there's some people in the media who would think that way because of past experience, and that is understood. So we want to bring them on board, and we want to let them know that this is serious business. I think we have a very good executive. As you said, you know, I was elected president. I have Delia Dolo as my vice president, Richmond Felix as secretary, Glenn Simon of the GIS as treasurer, and we have Maria Fontenelle as communications officer, and two floor reps, Jerry George and Alicia Ali. So I think it's a really good mix of young and old, you know, those who have been there before, those who are just coming in, but the enthusiasm, the energy, the passion is there. And the second thing we want to do, we have some standing committees, and we want to populate those or constitute those, in addition to ad hoc committees where we want to get as many people involved as possible. So it's not an executive thing, but we want media workers to be responsible for our organization. So we have a finance committee, we have an education committee, we have a disciplinary committee, we have a special events committee. We also have a membership committee that we want to put in place so that we can go after everybody who should be part of the media association. It's not, you know, it's not something that's obligatory or mandatory, but we want everybody to participate.
How long is the first term that you're going to serve?
2 years.
It's a 2-year term?
Well, it's just over 2 years because we put a special provision in place for us to work between the election that was on the 12th of February and April 1st. So from that time till March 31st, and then our official 2-year, our biennium starts from the 1st of April.
According to our constitution now of the New Media Workers Association, is there any way we can, if you all mess up, we can get you out before the 2 years is up?
There is nothing in there, although we're going to have a constitution review committee, because what we realized when the interim committee was set up and we were trying to organize the elections is that there were some questions that were not answered by the constitution. So we also want to put a constitutional committee in place so that they can review and provide recommendations to the association so that we can make it even stronger. My feeling is that we don't want a constitution that is so open to interpretation in the future that people, you know, it's so ambiguous rather, that people just interpret it any way they want, and you know, the sentiments,
and
the
then end up causing a halikasse with the rules.
Exactly. So we want to close all those loopholes before, you know, we find ourselves into serious problems. So membership, constitution, you know, we want a social committee, you know, that can deal with social and sports, so that that can deal with our social well-being. We work all the time. You know?
One final question I have is
I'm being interviewed now. Go ahead.
Is this no? This is very important too. I think I was thinking: are we in a position where we can start having mid to long-term vision of what we want, even though of what we want to achieve, even though we know we don't have the resources or the capacity for that yet?
Yeah.
Or are we in a position yet now where it is so new, so nascent, so embryonic that we should focus on just what you're talking about now, on strengthening what we have before we start envisioning 5 years from now and 10 years from now?
No, we have to start visioning, you know, because we can't wait until we're established or we're set for us to start coming up with ideas as to where we want to be. One of the things that I want to see happen is for us to have our own secretariat, you know, where media people can come and they can find support for, you know, whatever it is, you know, that kind of thing. I'm not even going to talk about, you know, credit associations. There's a place for that, but we have not started talking about that. But having a secretariat where we know that the media association has a home. This is our space. This is where media people come, you know, to interact, where they come to have questions answered. They come to lodge complaints. They come to see the president or the secretary or whatever, or to, you know, we have a place for us media workers. So that's one of the things I want us to start working on. I'm not sure that this will happen within this first biennium, but hopefully we can set the foundation for that to happen. If not in this one, the next one or the one after that, because it's going to take some money.
That's kind of encouraging, and I just want to say that as things go along, I would like to get involved in certain things that I would like to see unions. I've always looked at unions thinking that they should be more involved in the development of members, not so much in the relationship between members and management, so to speak. And finally, I just would like to say that the leaders now of the media workers ought to know, in the words of the great Robert De Niro, that we are watching you.
Yeah, it's our association, and I take that to heart. And you know, I think, well, I'm in there because I really want to see the improvement of media in St. Lucia. We have, our standards are not to par. They're not. We don't have best practice.
The standards are all over the place right now.
Yes.
There's a lot of good, there's a lot of excellent, but there's a lot of bad, and there's a lot of terrible.
Yes, it's true. So we have to get everybody on the same kind of,
or at least set the bar, so that we know who's terrible,
we set
and
benchmarks.
they can admit it to themselves.
Yeah, so that's what we're working on. So I mean, I'm very happy with the fact that we have been formed finally, and we'll be moving forward and doing stuff. So you look out for us, the Media Association of St. Lucia. masl.lc. Now you have me promoting the Media Association. I'm supposed to be discussing news here. But let's take a break. When we come back, we talk about the police. Very serious issues in the force right now. Two serious ones: top cop, visa revoked, and also the situation with Vernon Francois. What really is his position? Stay with us. Press Club continues after this message.